Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're going to be comparing the Ford F-150 Tremor to a Toyota Tundra TRD off-road and finally to a Ram 1500 Rebel to see which truck is the best. Before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry H. Miller Ford here in Provo and the Ram here in Provo for giving me some time with the Ford and the Ram, and then to the Brent Brown Toyota in Orem for giving me some time with that Tundra. I'll include a link to all of their websites in the description down below. I'll also include a link to my car buying guide as well. Let's get right into it. Under the hood of the Ram is a twin-turbo 3-liter inline-6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy 17 around town and then 24 on the highway, with power outputs being 420 horsepower and then 469 pound-feet of torque. Under the hood of the Tundra is a twin-turbo 3.4-liter V6 paired to a hybrid and a 10-speed. Fuel economy is 20 around town and then 22 on the highway, with power outputs being 437 horsepower and then 583 pound-feet of torque. And then finally, powering the Ford is a twin-turbo 3.5-liter V6 that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy 16 around town and then 21 on the highway, with power outputs being 400 horsepower and then 500 pound-feet of torque. Now, before we move forward with this comparison, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the Rebel, you can see the sport hood design there, and I want to talk about a couple things that I like about the Rebel. First off, you've got this bumper that actually looks like it's been made for off-road use. You've got recovery points, fog lights, all of that, and overall I think it's just a cool look. Now, popping over to the Tundra, it's got a lot of the same equipment that the Rebel has, i.e. the fog lights and all that. No recovery points on the Tundra. And you can see with the front end, it's, with how that bumper's been sculpted, not necessarily the best for off-roading. We do have some skid plate protection though, just like with the Ram. And so yeah, pretty cool look overall. And then finishing things up with the Ford, I feel like it's in between the Tundra and the Ram in terms of the off-road stuff. So you got like a fancy painted bumper, but then the approach angle is a little bit better there on the Ford. But yeah, cool look overall. So putting it all together, let me know which truck you like the front end of most. 275/70/18 in the front and in the rear for the Ram with the tire and wheel setup. Wheels completely blacked out, pretty cool design. And then yeah, those are aggressive tires. You guys can see with the fender flare there, and then notice the two-tone paint job. Now the Ram does have multi-link in the back, Bilstein shocks with this. And then here's our full side profile with the Ram, crazy decal. Now with the Toyota, it's 265/60/20 in the front and in the rear for the tire and wheel setup. You got TRD there on the wheels. Probably the least aggressive tires out of the bunch. Let's see with the fender flare setup, Tundra there on the side. And then, just like the Ram, it actually has multi-link in the back. It's kind of hard to see. And then we do have Bilstein shocks, also like the Ram. Now with the Ford, 275/70/18 in the front and in the rear, so same setup as the Ram. You can see with the wheels, got that metallic gray, pretty solid tire setup. Then you got all of that on the side, cool, the side steps. Now the Ford's the odd man out, leaf springs, and then you have twin tube shocks. You don't have Bilstein shocks. And then here's your full side view. I know it can give a full side view on the Tundra, but at least we got the Ford and the Ram, right? Now starting with the bed of the Ford, we've got the little measuring tables here on the back, and then you can see we've got the tailgate step, LED lights in the bed. We got a full outlet, no bed liner with this one, but the Ford does have a cool party trick. It's got this fancy auto raise tailgate. Notice the dual exhaust tips. You can see the taillights there on the back too. Now with the Tundra, protection from the factory with the bed, which is nice. We've got lights here on the bed. We've got an outlet, and then Toyota makes you lift up the tailgate yourself. It's easy though. And then with the design, I feel like it's the boxiest out of the bunch. I mean, look at the just vertical taillights there. No exhaust tips poking out the back like on the Ford, and still no recovery points, whereas the Ford's got even 2 on the back with recovery points. And then with the Ram, see the cargo sliders, outlet, LED lights. So just like the Toyota, lots of features. And lifting this up, pretty easy into place. It's kind of rounded off some of the lines. Dual exhaust tips just like the Ford, and then got a cool kick step there in the back. But yeah, let me know So far, exterior-wise, which truck's winning? Now in the back of the Ford, great legroom, got a storage pocket, some cup holders. You can see the vents there with the little charging ports. Camo print on the seats here as well, and then you got like the gold stitching. And then solid headroom. Now on the Toyota, a little bit less legroom, but still pretty good. The storage pocket, some cup holders, charging ports, all of that. And then we have a kind of cool design here. Perforated seats, by the way. And then pretty basic with the door panel design. And then headroom's actually a little bit less than the Ford. Now legroom in the back of the Ram. Good like the Ford. Little storage pocket. This one has the least amount of options in that little area. Like these seats a lot. Pretty cool with the mesh down the center. And then you can see the red there on the door panel. And then just like the Ford, tons of headroom. And start her up. Ooh. Slow with the animation, but there you go. Built Ford tough. Like the gold there. Over 1,600 pounds payload with the Ford, if you're wondering on that. Solid there. Blind spot ring with the mirrors. Got more of that like gold stitching on the inside of the steering wheel. A bunch of practical controls like your adaptive cruise control, volume controls, all of that. And then you can see with the digital gauge cluster there. And then the Ford does come with a 360 camera system. It also has off-road cruise control as well. Quick response with the infotainment system overall. It's got a trailer backup system, trailer brake controls. We've got a traditional 2-speed transfer case with a rear locking diff. All of our climate controls here with heated seats and all of that. And then you can see here the cup holders. And we got that for the shifter. Pretty big center console. And the front seats have that same cool camo design. Got the double glove box set up. Power setting window. You just press that little button right there and that'll open and close it. And then we got a bunch of, I don't know if it's going to show up on camera because the lighting sucks. There we go. Bunch of auxiliary switches. And starting up the Tundra. Fancy. Payload is 1345, so less than the Ford. Solid. Blind spot ring with the mirrors. And then I like the steering wheel in the Tundra. It's got like this perforated trim on either side, so pretty cool. Just like the Ford, it has stuff like adaptive cruise control there. Full digital gauge cluster. Now this one has a great 360 camera system. I'd say this is probably one of the best in the truck industry in general, so definitely beats out Ford. And then as for the infotainment system, it's quick with the response. It's huge as well. They're pretty easy to use. Not quite as quick as the Ford though, I'm noticing. Dual zone climate, heated and ventilated seats. Got a bunch of physical buttons here, including a rear locking differential and trailer backup assist. Shifter for that 10-speed automatic. And then you can see with our charging area here. Just like the Ford, traditional 2-speed transfer case. Drive mode select here. We also have multi-terrain select and crawl control because it's a 2D off-road. Good storage here. Just a regular glove box, no double. But we do have a camera rear view mirror. Still have a power setting window. Now I'll show this one because it goes all the way down, like the whole window, versus just a little slider. And then we actually have a sunroof in this one. And starting up that Ram. Cool with the full digital gauge cluster there. 1469 is the payload, so in between the Tundra and the Ford. Got huge mirrors in the Ram. I think that's one of the benefits of this over the other two is the size of the mirrors. I like some of the finishes on the controls too. I think that's pretty cool. Steering wheel is probably the nicest out of the bunch in terms of just the look, material use. Got your gear limiter, which is pretty cool. Adaptive cruise control, just like the other two. Drive mode select, just like the other two. You guys kind of saw it for a second. Now this one only has a backup camera, so that's a loss for Ram compared to the other two. Easy to use infotainment system with a vertical setup. You got like the shortcut bar here at the bottom. Oh, that took a second. I'd say it's close to the Tundra in terms of the response time. The Ford's probably the quickest. Now this is the only one out of the bunch that has an advanced four-wheel drive system, so, as well as a 2-speed transfer case. Rear locking differential as well as off-road cruise control, so it's got a lot of off-road tech, the most out of the bunch. And then you can see with the center console here, best center console by far. Just so much storage space. This is super cool with the utility. Got Rebel there, and then a traditional mirror, power setting window, just like the Ford, so it's just a half window. Now when it comes to pricing, $69K, $70K, $67K. So relatively close in terms of pricing between all of them. And with that being said, it's going to sum things up for our walk-around comparison. I'll have a driving comparison posted at a later date, so that's another reason to subscribe. But just based on the features, let me know which truck you'd pick. What I'll say with this comparison is I think the Tundra edges out a slight win. Now, the Ford's definitely the most capable. It's got the biggest payload, Ram's the second there. So those two have that in favor over the Tundra that has the least amount of payload. But the Tundra has 360, panoramic sunroof, camera rear view, mirror. It has heated cooled seats, whereas these two just have heated seats. So that one's kind of like the best bang for your buck in terms of options. And it does have the hybrid, which is a kind of a price premium. If that truck was not a hybrid, it would be like $66K. So it would be less than the other two trucks. So I'm going to give the Tundra the win for the feature, you know, value-wise for the features. But anyways, see you guys in the next video.